Hey, 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 it's the Mina's House Podcast, episode 134. We are back in business. I'm Mina SayWhat, podcasting from my house.
I'm Shana B, podcasting from my house.
Dexter Stuckey, podcasting from my house.
We should change it to Mina, Shana's, Garnett's, and Dexter's houses on Zoom.
The neighborhood.
Right, it's the neighborhood. Right, we all
Mina's
live.
neighborhood.
Right, that's exactly it. Mina's neighborhood. So, I want to say thank you to Little Twist because he was a part of the podcast last week and it went viral. It went everywhere, like Perez Hilton, Page 6. I mean, all the hip hop blogs. I mean, it blew up. I didn't think it was. I knew it was gonna get a reaction. I just didn't think it was gonna get the reaction that it got.
Yeah.
You know, and there was definitely negative reaction, which I was surprised by, especially considering the climate right now. Because this kind of goes along with a lot of what people have been upset about is more so of the appropriation of Black culture.
Yes.
And that's really what we're seeing here. And not so much appropriation, but more like this Black artist being more. And I think I was really surprised by Page 6's title, which called Little Twist a scapegoat. You know, and I mean, if you're taking drug charges for an artist and that artist is a white artist and the intention is, or the idea is, well, his image is clean. You're a rapper and you're signed to Lil Wayne, so it's okay that you have the drug charge, but this clean image artist can't get this drug charge. I think that was very much in line with racially what we're talking about, these inequalities that we're seeing. But it really, I thought I saw like a negative backlash of like, you dumb, why would you do that? And I didn't even like foresee that to happen. I mean, did you guys notice anything? What did you guys notice?
That exactly what you said. Like initially, because when I heard them, it's like, because you know, if you think about your family members and then they say they do or have been told to do certain things like this, you're like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. Like it's like a natural reaction almost. But then it's kind of like, and I think what 2020 is making us do is take a step back a little bit and think about why this person would do this, or like what situation happened that would make them think it's okay for them to do that. That's how I approached it this time around, because before I'd have been like, you're crazy, why would you do that? But now I'm like, I know this game. Like I see the game like stuck into. So I know why you did what you did.
Right. And that's what I was just about to say, is knowing the industry and how it is and how you have to play things and who you're connected with. It's easier for people on the outside just to be like, oh, he's stupid, he's dumb. But when you're in it, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also, like, you know, there's perks of being Justin Bieber's friend at that time, you know? And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your connection.
People pointed that out, like, you was in his house, you was doing this, you was doing that. But, like, okay, I can be in your house as a friend. That doesn't mean I have to take a drug charge to save your career. You know, so I saw a lot of, a reverse kind of, like, attacking that I felt like, guys, this boy just said when he was a kid, this Black boy just said when he was a kid, this white artist management team asked him to take drug charges for him. Like, that doesn't strike a chord with you?
Like, why did they ask him to do that?
Yeah.
Like the elitism there. It's kind of like,
right.
You're not valuing me if you're
right. That's how I kind of took it. Like, oh, you're fine. You're a rapper. You're affiliated with with Lil Wayne. You could do this, you know? So, but I just think we're living in this crazy world where we really don't know what the reactions are going to be anymore. Like, but I want to thank Angela Yee on The Breakfast Club. She shouted us out on The Breakfast Club. And it made Radio Facts. It's a radio website, and someone actually sent it to me. So thank you, Angela. Angela has her own podcast. So, you know, she's not obligated to shout out any other podcast, but I thought that was really fire that she did that, you know.
I know you mentioned that it got picked up on all the urban blogs, but the one that I saw it on and I was like super excited about was World Star. And I know people are like, why you still look at World Star? I can't help it. It's just edited to me. I got to check out World Star.
You're not the only one. Somebody tweeted me like, you're on World Star. I'm like, oh Lord, what happened now? You know, Because I can count. I've been on World Star in my life maybe like 5-6 times. I mean, it's not like, you know, like I've been on so much that I lost count, but I can count on my hands how many times I've been on World Star. I'm like, oh, good God, what happened? I remember I was on World Star when Nas talked about his baby mom.
Yes.
That was a big moment. I was on World Star when Jeezy talked about the Illuminati. I had a big interview with Tiana Taylor that made World Star as well. And what else? I mean, there's a couple of them that I'm like, you know, I Kanye, I think I asked Kanye something that made World Star. So, but yeah, but it was, I was just very surprised at the reaction, you know?
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Tiana Taylor, let's get into what's in our feed. So Tiana Taylor had an album release party for her album called The Album. By the way, the album's so amazing.
Heard good things about it.
Like, she's pregnant with baby number 2 from Iman Shumpert. So I think it's really nice to see this woman, this pregnant woman, working and just really like coming into her own. The family is a lot about, I mean, her album's very much about the family and her love and their Black love, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very critical, especially during today's time. So, but the COVID police is out here. And the COVID police has checked me. They will check everybody. I mean, Trey Songz.
Mina, you needed a check.
Trey Songz is at the album release party. Karrueche, Breezy, Cardi B, Offset, Quavo, King Combs. No masks in sight.
Okay.
What are your
now,
thoughts?
to their defense, when I had to look, because the original photos and video I saw no masks. So I looked a little further. There were some folks with masks. Some. But the some were very minute to the many that did not have masks. And even for those that had masks, everyone collectively for the group that was there was definitely not social distancing. So even if they had a mask, they were all on top of each other. Everybody.
I understand the COVID police. I am a member of the COVID police because I have been, aside from getting a haircut, which I just did last week.
You look good, by the way.
I understand people, because really it's jealousy, if I'm being honest with you. Yes, a part of it is safety, but if I'm in Philadelphia, how much am I concerned about your safety? Oh, you're over there in Beverly Hills. I'm jealous. Like when I see people going out to lunches and I see people in the gyms and I see people having these parties, I'm very jealous. So that's the reason why I'm going to say something about it. Because it's like, damn, I want to be out there at the party too, but I can't do it because I'm stuck.
Hugging on my friends.
So I'm hating. That's why we're doing. We really, the COVID police, we're haters. Yes, it's a little bit of safety in there, but overall, we're hating. Like, we want to party. We want to have fun too.
Well, I was a part of the COVID police, but now I'm the one being police.
Yes. The roles have reversed for Mina.
So here's the thing. I felt like after the protest, everything just went out the window, to be honest.
Yeah.
At least for me, it's not like I'm not being safe. I am out there with my mask, and I think I'm more of the severe ones when I am out. Like, don't hug me, don't kiss me. There's a lot of people that are still hugging and kissing. In fact, yesterday someone tried to hug me, and I was like, no, thank you, and they still try to hug me again. And I was like, no, do not hug me. But I feel like I've taken my mask off to take pictures.
Yeah, I've done that.
Like, is that no?
I wouldn't do it.
We're taking a picture, take my mask out, and then put it back on.
That's what I do.
Of you and somebody else.
Yes, I have.
If it's just you by yourself, then I get it. But if it's you with other people around you, like that's like hugging.
The purpose.
Might as well hug.
That's what I did. But okay, so the COVID police has been on me because of that, you know? But here's the thing, I've been around the same people. So there's many members in the COVID police. One of my mentors was like, Mina, it doesn't matter if you're around the same people. You don't know who they've been around. So, you know, I think I have been a little bit more safe, but I thought because I exposed myself to one group of people and nothing has happened. So I keep exposing myself to that same group of people. But I do maintain my distance.
I think
no kissing or no hugging. Yeah.
I was going to say, and I think that was people's issue when they saw Tiana. And again, it's her choice. She did not have a mask on. She is pregnant. And, there are videos of people people were congratulating her. So they're
Yeah.
hugging her and kissing her. So I think a lot of people were like, whoa, like COVID police was like, you're pregnant and, you have this party. There's very minimal mask and people are actually in contact with you, let alone each other. I mean, they really were all over each other. It wasn't like we took one picture and now we're close and we take off the mask. They were like partying all night all over each other.
I didn't think about the pregnancy part, and you have a young child at home too, so that is that's.
Junie was there. Wasn't Junie there? Did you see pictures of her dancing and stuff?
But it looked like they kept her maybe, and that was the safety precaution. She was away from the party.
Yeah.
Like she was like upstairs or something. But again, to Dex's point, after the party ends, you're going to go kiss and hug your daughter. Like you're not going to not kiss and hug your daughter. And you didn't already kiss and hug all these people.
Right.
I will. Why they're rushing us to Green. Like in Philadelphia, we're going to Green like next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not ready to go to Green, but I think it's one of those things where they're just like, well, look, that, like Mina said, that protest happened. If they're going to get it, they're going to get it. So at this point, just go ahead.
Just go get it. Just go get it.
If you were at that protest, even if you weren't there, somebody that was there. Like that protest would affect all of us. Yeah. So if somebody had it there and they spread it around, like, I know the city is like, they're going to get it. So just
go ahead.
Just go ahead. I was around my family for the first time last week, and it felt really nice, but I had to keep my mask on the whole time because I was worried about giving it to them. Now, I did take the mask off to take the picture. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of studies, and I'm not in no way defending, taking pictures with people without a mask on. I just want people to understand that just because you are taking a picture without the mask doesn't mean that you're not practicing social distancing. Now, obviously, if you see multiple pictures or, it's different, I think, in the Tiana Taylor case. But at least for me, I think that I have been like, hey, keep your distance. Don't hug me, don't kiss me. I don't share stuff. I wash my hands often. And I will take the mask off outdoors. So I did an interview with one of the guys that owns a couple of Philly restaurants. They just opened outdoor dining. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that there were studies done in China regarding how people contracted the COVID. And they said the study showed that it's very like, it's minimal being outside, if you like to contract the virus. So there's studies that show that you're inside, it's more of a risk than you being outside. So that's why I think they're starting to open a lot of outside stuff.
I think people say and come up with any type of study whatever narrative they want. Because like, there's no way I'm catching this in this house by myself. Like that's not gonna happen.
Right.
Like people can say what they want to say because I get it. We're all gonna say what fits the narrative that we want to push.
Right.
Overall,
it made me feel better. Like,
right. Because then you were like, let me go to a restaurant.
But we're allowed to go to these restaurants. Here's another thing that caught me off guard. When I did go to my first restaurant and I looked at everybody sitting, nobody was wearing a mask. But the same guy that I interviewed, his name was Avram, he said the rule is if you walk into a restaurant, you have to have a mask on. When you sit down, at that point, you can take it off.
Wait. Sitting inside or outside?
Outside. You can't go inside the restaurant.
Okay. Because I was going to be like, wait a minute.
No, it's outside. So this is outdoor dining. And in Philly, we only have outdoor dining as well.
Right.
So when you sit down and you're outdoors, then you can take the mask off. So that's why in my pictures, it's like, I don't have my mask on. And people, literally, the COVID police was on me, but I'm like, I'm outdoors.
You gotta eat your food with the mask.
I was gonna say, I understand if you're sitting outside, you gotta eat your food.
Yeah, they let you take your mask off. We just happened to take a picture. Now, I think the problem is when they start taking the picture, we're all together. Now, for a brief second, we've all been together, but we weren't sitting like that the whole time. Like you were over there, I was over here, and so it's complicated.
It is.
It's really the hardest thing about all of this. Like, I'm trying to be one of those people that are progressive about, let me go out and see how I can really follow the rules and still try to live a semi-normal life. Mm-hmm. But it's difficult because you have to rely on other people to follow the same rules. everybody's not following the same rules, you know? So this guy tried to hug me twice yesterday.
He
I
was
was like,
he was on something else.
he was trying to get
I was like, no.
He was like, COVID or not, I'm about to get this hug from Mina.
my hug in.
All right. Moving on. So Travis Scott bought a $23.5 million house. But
Doing
that's
big in COVID, helping the economy.
But that's not why I wanted to talk about this. This dude did it in cash.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like he rolled up with duffels of cash, $23.5 million in cash.
How do you do that?
Imagine being a real estate agent where you're like, okay,
how are you gonna count that?
Can you do that? I wanted to like, can you do that? What doesn't the bank flag you?
I was listening to an interview with a rapper. I forgot who it was, but he was saying that he doesn't use he uses bank accounts and stuff like that. He uses bank accounts and everything, but when he wants to do big purchases, he'll call the bank and he'll ask them to like get it together in cash because he likes to have that. Yo Gotti said like.
I was gonna say it's one of the drug dealer rappers. It makes sense. Yo Gotti.
He likes to do it where he would call the bank. Sometimes he likes, even when he takes pictures, he'll post pictures with a lot of money. He'll call the bank to get that amount of money, and then he takes the pictures or whatever, and then he takes it back to the bank. Or if he wants to make a purchase, he'll call the bank, let them do what they have to do to get the money in the bags and stuff for him, and then he makes that purchase. I think it probably makes him feel like he's like Tony Montana or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't get the logic behind that. But 23.5 million, how many bags do you need?
That's why I'm like, how do you do this? And why would you do it? I mean, and is it cheaper? Because you're paying cash. So
I don't know. At 23.5 million, I don't think it matters.
He's LeBron's neighbor now. Yeah. Did we know that Travis Scott has LeBron neighbor's money? Like
he wanted us to know that. That's why
right.
You know, I'm standing next to LeBron, and I'm not renting either.
Right, you bought it cash.
My house.
But I have to say, I really respect that because he could have easily bought a mortgage and then had that debt. So if anything happens, he has and it's worth more than $23.5 million.
I respect him paying for it. I just don't understand why we can't get the bank check or the cashier's check.
Right.
Or something, why we had to give the cash.
The cash, right. So, and it's 7 bedrooms, 11 bathrooms, and
only 7?
Right. And the exterior looks like a modern yacht, they said.
What?
Okay.
In cash. So
cash.
Well,
but, to my point, if you're the real estate agent, how do you count the cash to verify? Like, you can't just sit there and be like, oh, let me just count this 23.5 million real quick, make sure it's all here. Make sure you're not $1 short.
I'm gonna just go ahead and trust that it's all there, because I'm gonna trust that it's all there. I might leave a couple extra bags in the backseat of my car, and we good. Just go ahead and enjoy your house.
And then how do you even deposit that to the mortgage company? I'm so confused. It's like hard to take out $5,000 out of the bank these days. You'll get flagged. You got to sign your life away, show your birth certificate. Imagine that much money like that. But then again, these artists and people with money be having different rules. Like, let me go up in there and try to get all my money in cash. They'll be like, excuse me, ma'am. Let me see your
$1,000 needs for me. Your $1,000 needs 2 signatures.
Right. We need to see a birth certificate and an extra credit card to prove that it's you. Where's your phone bill? We need proof of address.
I wouldn't even have felt comfortable driving from the bank with it. Like, did the bank send like an armored truck? Because I'm just trying to picture this. Like, how did that happen?
I don't know. I was perplexed by it as well. And when you guys saw the prep, you're probably like, why does she want to talk about this? This is why. This is an odd thing. Like, very, very odd. All right. So cancel culture. I'm so tired of cancel culture. Everything gets canceled every day, every week. I don't even have the energy to explain. Can one of y'all explain? Because it's just way too many people to count at this point.
I mean, this week alone, like for cancel culture, I've seen Candace Owens gets canceled often. I don't even know if she ever made it off the list, but she gets canceled. all the time. Who else was canceled this week? Idris Elba was canceled this week because he wore a shirt on Juneteenth that said, you know, you can take my art, my science, my
music.
music. Then it also had life on there, and life was crossed out. So basically, what I got from it, he was trying to say, you know, like Black Lives Matter. You can take whatever you want from me. I just don't want you to take my life. And I got it. But people didn't understand that and they didn't like it. So they called for Idris to be canceled. They were upset with him. They're not watching Luther anymore. They were really pissed off with Idris Elba. He came out with another shirt, same black shirt with the white font and the white writing, and said, I think it said like deleted or something like that. So basically, and then the caption was, when your own culture don't fool with it. So like he's like, I'm not gonna, y'all not gonna cancel me. Who else was canceled this week? J. Cole was canceled this week.
I was so surprised by that.
I was so surprised.
And Kendrick.
Kendrick, yeah.
Like, Terry Crews.
Now the Terry Crews one was a little odd for me because, you know, like before Terry came under fire because he didn't defend Gabrielle Union when he was let go from America's Got Talent and allegedly said that the company did all these things to her or whatever. So he didn't defend her. He didn't say anything. So people were like looking at him sideways. Then I think it was last week, he did this thing about like black supremacy. People were like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what is that? And then yesterday on Juneteenth, he made this post that said, it was Martin Luther King, and it was basically like ending white supremacy should not bring about black supremacy. Happy Juneteenth. And people just weren't having it because of what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
And then in that same one, people were in the comments like, you're cooning, you're shucking and jiving. And he's responding to comments. Well, I guess I'm shucking and jiving with MLK then. I guess I'm cooning with Gandhi. It's just like...
doing the most in your comments. Like, just be quiet.
Auntie Mama was canceled this week.
Yes. And Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben's
getting canceled too.
Cream of Wheat.
Yeah,
Cream of Wheat.
Canceled.
Taco Bell.
In the same week. So.
Yeah.
Who else? Starbucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Starbucks is canceled. Neo.
What did he do?
Wait, what did Neo do?
At the funeral, he said George Floyd, his life was a sacrifice. And people killed him because they said it wasn't a willing sacrifice.
I didn't even hear him say that. See, I wasn't even paying attention to Neo being canceled.
But that is true, though. It definitely wasn't a willing sacrifice. I didn't say,
right.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this for the culture.
This is the problem that I have, right? We always have moments like this where people want these artists and these entertainers and people with massive money and following to step up. But what happens is when they start stepping up and saying things, if they don't say it or deliver it in a way where the masses think it's appropriate, they attack them. So it's like, you can't ask for leadership and people to step up and then you attack the ways that they do it. Like, everybody isn't a PR coach.
Which is why you got to be careful who you ask for to step up.
But like, everybody doesn't have all the perfect words, or, you know, everybody's just trying to find a way to like connect with it or be vocal about it. And I just feel like we're so critical of everyone, and it's almost to our detriment, because I just feel like we're fighting people that are supposed to
each other,
right, be on our side, like, and alienating them, because now they might not even want to say or do anything because they know they're being scrutinized.
And all the ones, at least with like the Black Lives Matter movement, I think that they were all, none of them were saying that Black lives don't matter or anything like that. It's just they're not saying it in the way that we want them to say it, we like it. But I don't think that should, like the Terry Crews stuff, I don't necessarily agree with it. But he's also like, this Terry Crews is still saying that, you know, like Black Lives Matter and all that kind of stuff like that. He has some other issues that he needs to work out or whatever. But
it's your interpretation of what he's saying. It's your interpretation of what he's saying.
But he also had I was going to say, and some of these people just want to be talked about too, even in this moment. Like, so sometimes you're going to say stuff that is completely outrageous, that you know either it's going to get interpreted in many ways, that people are going to talk about it good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah. I know when Neo said what he said, you know, I literally had just interviewed him and he told me how angry he was about George Floyd. So I already knew that it's something that really struck a chord with him. And he would almost cried at the funeral. So I know he was in an emotional state. So it might not have come out in the most eloquent way. And I said that on air, like, he was emotional. We saw him. He was about to tear up singing the song, you know? And it's like, I just don't think it's helpful to do all this unless it's a company, you know what I'm saying? Or like,
you've read your statement over and over. You've had the opportunity. He's coming off the cuff. Because that's the other thing I was going to say. Like, in moments like that, we have to realize that they're human. Just because they're a celebrity or they sing, they whatever act, they are all human. And you're going to have moments where you're like, wow, I wish I would have said, when you look back, like, and especially in emotion and anger, you say some stuff. And you're like, oh, what I actually meant was da-da-da-da-da. When you're a company, you have a PR written statement that 50 people looked at, and you have time to edit it. Of course, your statement is coming across differently than off the cuff in the moment.
Yeah. And then I just also think that it's like, everybody interprets it differently, but I think also how people are communicating is a little bit too much for me. Like, it's okay for you to be like, yo, what you said was out of pocket, but there's like this attack thing that's happening right now, and people are getting attacked instead of it being like a conversation where everybody learns from the conversation, or a constructive conversation. It's like, no, we're not supporting you no more. Attack, 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 block, 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 cancel, 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 cancel. Is that really going to get us to the place where we need to be going?
I think it's because we're in this place where we're validated by that kind of stuff. So, like, for instance, when a person who's not of color, and they, like, there's big videos of people being racist on TikTok and stuff like that. So when you see those videos of those people doing that, and you say, like, I'm going to find out who they are, where they're going to school, where they're working, and you get them fired from their jobs, schools say that they don't want to bring them in and stuff like that, you get charged up off of that because, like, you made a difference. Like, this person who doesn't agree with you, doesn't align with you, seems racist and everything, like, you got them canceled. And I don't think we know where to stop that. Like, we don't know when, like with the Karen videos that consistently come out or whatever, it's like, sometimes all of these women, like, they could be ridiculous, but do they really need to lose their jobs and their livelihood all the time? Like, sometimes, like, there was this one where the woman she came up to a guy, he was spray painting someone on the street, and like, she was like, I know the person who lives here, which she did. She was wrong for that, whatever, but she didn't do anything derogatory or nothing like that. She just asked him, oh, why are you painting this here? And I think that could have been a better conversation between the two of them.
Yeah.
Instead, like, she got fired from her job, her husband got fired from his job. It's like, I don't know. I think we're taking it a little too far with the cancel culture. And I was saying it on another podcast that I think as African Americans that the cancel culture is going to come back and bite us, because there's a lot of stuff that we do and that we say that's not super appropriate. And like, the more we cancel other people, and if it's an even playing field, then people are going to start looking at some of the stuff that we say, and we're going to be like, well, I didn't mean it like that, or take offensive to, and it's the same thing that they're dealing with. So I agree with you, Mina, when you say, like, we need to have more conversations about it. Like, if you come out there, you calling me the N-word and all that stuff,
right?
But if you were to have a conversation and it seems that way, like, okay, we could talk about this and maybe come to an agreement or understanding, then sure.
Right.
But the canceling, I think we got to chill out.
And we're at a place where it's like, if someone doesn't say what you want them to say exactly how you want to hear it, it's like you're automatically attacking them. Like, everybody is not a racist. Some people may have maybe some thoughts that are maybe a little bit
they don't know no better.
Right. Like, it's not necessarily racism. It's more so you need to educate yourself, or you need to hear my side of the story, or you need to understand how this affects me. It's about not understanding, not so much that they don't care or they have hate, So it's like, I think that a lot of the energy that we're seeing right now, some of it is very much needed. Some of these people need to understand what you're saying is wrong. You need to lose. I think that's what it is. They want people to lose their jobs and lose their livelihood because this is serious, right?
And
we need you to understand that this is so wrong that you can't even have employment. But that energy needs to go into more productive things, because that's a small needle in a huge haystack. And yeah, you can focus on the small needles if you want, but it's more productive if everybody focuses on the larger haystack, which is, let's try to change laws. Let's try to make sure that we're holding companies accountable, police departments accountable. Those are the big things that we want to tackle,
I do though, however, appreciate focusing on the small ones still. And the reason I say that,
I was going to say some of these Karens need to be
No,
canceled.
I said some of them, but
Most of
but you
them.
need to do
Most
more
of
than
them.
that. Like,
I agree. I agree. It needs to be more focus needs to be, but I feel like the point is, and I don't mean it to be rude, like, but mind your business. Like, and Dex, I know what story you're talking about. I'm sorry she needed to be canceled because she kept going on. Like she kept going on as if she was the authority in the situation, and not to your point, it wasn't like, hey, like, let's have a conversation about it. She was coming off more like, I know, and what are you doing is wrong, and da-da-da-da-da. She needed to be canceled. Sorry.
you think that man could have said, "This is my house." He couldn't say that.
Yeah, he could have said that, but she could have not kept lying. Like, no, I know the owner, and her husband was like, "We sure do."
no.
And he was sitting there looking stupid, lying. Yeah, we know the owners.
So I do feel like that was the issue with that. Was it wasn't, she wasn't coming off really of a concern, because sometimes, listen, we live in a day and age where neighbors used to be concerned. Like, that's where we came from. Like, if little Johnny was going down the street, your mom was going to find out, because neighbor Sue, neighbor Beth, it was going to come. Like, so I'm not saying that we shouldn't live in a world where we are looking out for one another. But again, it's the way you approach it. And in that position, in that one, she was more coming off of, I am the authority figure in here, not I'm a concerned neighbor,
Right.
and I just want to make sure this is okay.
The neighborhood watch. I gotta make sure nothing going on.
No, George Zimmerman, man. You know, they be the worst ones because they think they're the police.
Where's your bandit?
Right, under the guise of you're protecting. Like, no, go in your house,
right,
lady. Like, but I and then we're canceling people that aren't even doing anything. Like, Kendrick didn't even do anything. Y'all mad that he's not doing anything?
I'm over here trying to celebrate my birthday.
Right, right. Like, it's ridiculous, guys. He's out protesting. What do you want him to do? Like,
it's like an expectation. It's an expectation.
Right,
but that's why Beyonce put that song out. She said, "Look, I know I'm Beyonce, but I gotta do something because I know."
Yeah, but is it a good? But is it a good song?
It doesn't even matter. She did something. She look, I did something. I did something.
But like, we cannot force people to do things that they're not ready to do. Like, let it happen organically. Lil Baby put out a song, amazing song, but it was in his heart to do that. You know what I'm saying?
But you also don't know what some of these people are doing behind the scenes too,
right?
Though. Like, he could be doing stuff that he doesn't have to tell us. Like, hey guys, this is what I did. It didn't, like, just because he's not being on social or super vocal to our liking. That's the part that I don't like. Is like, at the end of the day, like, you don't know what people are doing to show their activism and to be active at this time, you know. So just to assume like, oh, he ain't put no post up, he's, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's the part that I don't like, is like, what do you want? And I do agree, like what Dave Chappelle said in his stand-up, like, maybe this isn't the time for celebrities to talk. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's time for us to hear from true activists and concerned people, and people who are becoming activists at this time. Like, maybe it's not the time to be worried about what celebrities are doing, whether they're conscious rappers, actors, comedians, whatever the case may be.
And I think that's important. Like, everybody's not an activist. Some people are just participants in a movement. I'm not an activist. Am I participating? Absolutely. I'm doing little things that I feel like these little things, along with other people doing their little things, we're creating change. You know, when that woman got beat by a bat by the police officer in Philly, I wrote the police commissioner and the mayor. You know, when that elderly man got pushed in Buffalo, I wrote the mayor. Now, am I particularly responsible for these people being charged? No, but they got charged. So I did my little part along with everyone else to create a bigger change. But like, everybody's not an activist. So we need to stop holding these people to that level. You know, people were mad that J. Cole wasn't doing nothing. He drops a song and now they don't like the song. Like, this is, y'all was complaining. Y'all was like, where's Kendrick? Where's Cole? And then here come Cole, and now y'all don't like the song. Like,
so comes from, I was watching the news yesterday, and there was a Juneteenth march, and there was like a black man, I forgot his organization, but he said like something like, there's no more Malcolms, there's no more Martins. And I think that as a society, as a culture, we don't have like those figures who could speak for us, so we look to anyone who we feel like would say what we want them to say forward. So it's like an expectation almost. And
How
like,
about Sean King?
how about him?
Yeah.
Is he not? Is he not a voice?
I mean, I don't think he's a Malcolm. He's not a Martin. He's not a Malcolm.
I'm just saying we hold these figures high because they've passed away. We've immortalized them, right? But
Right.
I'm pretty sure during the time, everybody wasn't like, you a legend. You a legend. I'm
Sure.
pretty sure some people were like, you bother me. You bother us. You're annoying. You know, but you don't know what they're going to become. Sometimes people, even Biggie, you know, Biggie died and then he became Biggie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say.
Think about like during Malcolm X and those times, people wasn't like, and not saying that artists weren't creating, but people weren't like, oh, where's Sam Cooke at? He better come with that song.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have put these people in a position that they really probably shouldn't be in. Like, you know what I mean? We expect that they're now that, and I love Beyonce. I am a Beyonce fan. I'm part of the Beehive. But we expect her to now to be like, she's part of the Black Panthers. And she's out here like, no, like, y'all got to be realistic. Like, she's a performer and she might be outspoken and speak out about it, but she can't be who you want now to be the person for the movement.
I will say, I do think that artists have a responsibility with their power, you know, and their influence, but it's okay if you just want to donate money. Like, look at Twitter CEO and Netflix CEO. They like, oh, they not out there marching. Let me give y'all money. Y'all go ahead and take the money and let the organizations that know what they doing handle it.
Yeah, right. I don't know about that. Like that. I slightly agree, and because you use Netflix as an example, and the Netflix CEO donated money to HBCUs, right? And it's just like, to me, like, so I went to an HBCU, I went to Lincoln University, and the first HBCU, and like Lincoln's one of the ones that doesn't get a lot of like credibility and credit and stuff like that.
Weren't they gonna shut down at one point too?
Never.
No.
Cheney.
Oh, why you throwing shade?
Don't hype, like, no shade.
Never.
The other one.
Don't throw shade. Go ahead.
It's one of those things where they're like the Netflix CEO, like, when you just throw money at situations, you don't educate yourself. So like, if you really looked at it, you would never be like, I'm gonna write a check to Morehouse or Spelman or Howard, because they're good. Like, those are schools that like they're set. Like, they don't have financial issues. But there's over 100 HBCUs. So if you really would have wanted to give that money and educated yourself, you would have looked through the different ones before throwing that money out, even down to us. Like, we donate to organizations. We have no idea where that money's actually going. Like, there was a Bell Fund situation that was set up, and people were donating money to the Bell Fund. You have no idea who's getting bailed out or anything like that. So I do agree. Like,
I understand that.
But just do just a little bit of research too.
All I was trying
to the Netflix CEO, you know, he's married to an African-American woman and she's super educated. So he might've been going off of what she told him to do.
Yeah.
She was like, we gonna cut this check. And he was like, all right, babe, whatever you say, whatever you say.
All I was trying to say is, I'm not saying just throw money at the problem, because that's not going to resolve it either. I'm just saying, it's okay for everybody not to be an activist. You know what I'm saying? And if this is all that you can do, then do that, but do something, you know? I think it was very, very commendable that Beyonce wrote a letter on behalf of Breonna Taylor. I think that's the right thing for her to do, you know?
Right.
Put your influence behind that. Beyonce wrote you a letter? Beyonce wants justice for me? That's a different kind of like, oh, Beyonce.
Right.
You know?
Because regardless, that person was sitting there like, oh my God, this letter is from
Beyonce.
You had like,
Like, that's an appropriate way to use your influence. But what I'm saying is, everybody don't got to be out there doing the same stuff, you know?
Right.
And it's okay if all we saw Kendrick do is protest. That's okay.
Right.
You know, like, I don't understand why people want them to be activists. And then J. Cole releases a song saying, I don't know what y'all want from me. Y'all think I'm educated? I'm really just a dude that went to school. I'm a rapper. Like, and I really think that right now, a lot of the stuff that's going on is divisive. And then people jumped on him. Like, he's just being honest. He's saying, don't put that pressure on me. I don't feel fully equipped to be what y'all want me to be. You know,
Right.
like, and that's okay. People got to be responsible to take that title and be able to carry that title. But like, we don't know what one of the movers and shakers right now will in 5, 10, 15 years be the people that we attribute certain changes to, you know.
Yep.
We're living the history, but like, let's stop being hard on people. That's all I want to say, because I feel like people are just having too much expectations of what from other people, and put that expectation on yourself. What can you do? What
Yes.
can you do? What are you doing? What steps are you taking every week? Every week I do one thing, whether it be reach out to corporate. I've reached out to Wawa's corporate office this week because down the block at the Wawa, they didn't let the boy wear his BLM mask. That's a small change. The week before that, I was writing emails to, like I said, mayors. So every week I'm like, what can the small thing I could do? Just focus on you.
Right.
And stop putting all these pressure on all these other people. All right, so let's get to our topic today, because it's kind of along the same lines. We see these protests kind of leaking into different facets. It's starting to leak into sports now. And it always leaks into sports. I think, people like Muhammad Ali set this precedent of, as an athlete, you also have to stand up for what you think is right. So Kyrie Irving doesn't want to return to playing basketball, and he wants to form a collective among the other basketball players and kind of put pressure on the NBA for them to do something more towards the movement that's happening right now. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, should they? He doesn't want people to play until there's an actual game plan on behalf of the NBA. I mean, is that fair? I mean, what are your overall thoughts about this?
So go ahead, Dex.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think that I agree with him 100%. I think it just really sucks that it's coming from him because he's not someone that's really respected, one, as a player or as a human. That like Kyrie doesn't even play like a full season. Like he's not an athlete.
Why you did that?
He does.
He's
He
right.
be injured.
He's right.
He been injured.
Over and over and over. So it's like one of those things where he's easily kind of like dismissed. And then also the last time that he made like headlines was when he said the earth was flat. So he's one of those people where it's kind of like you can easily dismiss everything that he says just because of who he is and how he appears to be. However, he's making a really good point. And I'll say because when the coronavirus stuff first happened, I don't think a lot of us were taking it serious at all. Like it was just kind of like, I mean, it is what it is. It's happened over in China. They said it'll come here, whatever. But when the NBA canceled the season, that's when we really start taking it serious. That's when jobs were like,
I remember. I was like,
and
everybody was like, whoa.
Because during this season, we haven't had the distraction of sports and live entertainment, we've been able to focus on other stuff. I genuinely think that if George Floyd would have died and the finals were going on, I don't know if we would have paid much attention to it, like how we did this time. And like, we have the opportunity, we have them talking to us and looking at us right now. They need to come up with a plan. We don't want to be like the NFL. We don't want to sit around and be like them and know that they don't care about our livelihood. Let's make them come up with something before we go back and play for them. Plus, when the thing first happened, the coronavirus stuff first happened, they said, we'll play in front of no fans or whatever. LeBron James said, I'm not playing if the fans are not in the building. So now all of a sudden you want to go back and play with no fans in the building? And no disrespect to LeBron, because I love him. And he's one of those people that he's always been active and talking about it. So I think he could do two things at one time. But I don't know if the rest of the world can. And I think we should just pause for a little bit and let the rest of the world catch up to us.
Yeah, I definitely agree on all your points, Dex. And I do feel like if it would have come from LeBron versus Kyrie, we'd definitely be even having a different conversation tonight, because the NBA would have been even a little bit proactive. And not to say that there aren't other players that definitely, after Kyrie made the statement, have come forward like,
KD.
I agree, I agree. But again, that initial statement coming from him, I do feel like it was like a kind of slight shade, like, but it's Kyrie. Like, we don't necessarily have to act right, but what he's saying is very true. And I've heard a lot of guys, whether it's Lou Williams and then obviously Steven Jackson, who was very close to George Floyd, just saying like, this isn't the moment. Like, this is the moment when we need to continue to be focused, since we have everyone's attention, because once that basketball drops, no fans, it doesn't matter. Our focus is going to shift. first of all, they're going to be playing like 3-4 games a day. So
Mhm.
everyone's going to be tuned in and laser focused on that. We have the world's attention right now. Let's see if we can really create change and make change, and if the NBA can get behind it. And then secondly, even above all the social injustice from a league that 90% of the players are
Ooh,
African
I was
American.
about to say that.
Like,
Like, the
let's
NBA
go
is the
there.
black sport.
Right,
Like,
right. Like so it is big because it affects the majority of your players. Secondly, above that, you're talking about sending these players to a place where coronavirus is rising at
booming.
a rapid number every day. So like you have this social injustice piece that's super, super important. Then I'm like, you have this safety health piece that's like, is it worth it for us to just get a little bit of entertainment? Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, and then Orlando's airport had such a mass breakout. So they have reported 260 employees. Originally, the governor reported 260 employees contracted the virus, but then they backpedaled and said, no, that was including contact tracing. So it included family members, and it dates back to March. But that doesn't take away the fact that employees in Orlando, which is where the basketball players got to land, multiple employees had the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it
And the
even
numbers are still going up every day in Florida. Every day.
even bigger than, hey, this could be a distraction to the movement? Is, should they even be playing to begin with?
Yeah.
Because this is a health hazard, But I agree with you guys. And I actually think that I feel like it's God's plan, to be honest with you, because literally the world has stopped. And when has it ever stopped? And I know we were all inconvenienced by the corona, and some of us are not taking it serious, but because the world has stopped, it has given us the opportunity and the energy and the focus to really attack this thing and maybe make some significant changes that haven't happened before. I mean, I remember taking an African-American course in college and learning about how racist Aunt Jemima was. And it's like, there was literally one day where they went through all the companies, and all the companies who had started their companies and their businesses off of Black people or racist things. And over time it evolves and we make it better, but it doesn't mean that the initial wasn't, this was a racial character. This is a stereotype. This is the mammy figure,
But to your point, so when was your college course? How many years ago was that?
Girl, don't do that to me.
No, I'm just saying, like,
all I'm saying
is this moment, like,
right.
So from your college course where they talked about it, it was known, you knew about it.
Right.
We're just here today,
right.
where it's actually changing.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that we've all known about this and we've normalized these things because, and now it literally took the corona to happen for people to actually address it. And then you got the people who are like, well, it's always been there. It don't make it right. Like, what you mean? Like, hello?
Like, racism's always been there. Like, okay,
and they think
well,
because
don't make it right.
They think because they took Mrs. Butterworth's boobs off, that she's still not based on a stereotype. She still got a big butt. So it's like,
to match.
Right. Like, so it's like, all I'm saying is there's a reason why this corona happened. And now we have the opportunity. And I think Kyrie's absolutely on to something where it's like, we run the risk of losing this momentum. Excuse me, you are not part of this podcast, dog. But we run the risk of losing the momentum if you just go back to dribbling the basketball, So, well, that's all I got, y'all. It was a great little conversation today.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys have anything you want to share? Anything you want to plug? Damn. Large pause. Like,
it's just weird because, like, when people say, do you want to plug your stuff? You be thinking, like, do I want to? And it's like,
yes, you do.
But yeah, absolutely. You guys can catch me on my other podcast, Bro Talk Live, every Tuesday night at 10. And then the podcast is on wherever you listen to podcasts on Wednesday mornings.
Shana?
Yes, I sat down with a fellow colleague who's in Florida, and I did a podcast on his new podcast, Changing the Game, just to talk about being an African-American woman in the sport, being Black on one hand and then being a woman in a very male-dominated world. So that, I think, is coming out next week.
Yeah. And follow us on YouTube. We're finally starting to put YouTube videos out. I feel like we need to push that a little bit more. Everything's so used to everyone's so used to going to the audio version of it. But yeah, there is a YouTube. Just Google it, Mina's House Pod. And we have a lot of great things that we're planning for the
Yes.
podcast. So I'm excited about that. All right, guys. It was great talking to y'all. We'll talk next week. Thank you for watching and listening. It's the 134th episode of the Mina's House podcast. I'm Mina Say What.
I'm Shana B.
I'm Dexter Stuckey.
Bye, Dexter Stuckey, Shana B. Bye, y'all. Thanks for watching.